James, I've just returned from New York City, which could be in a bit of trouble or a lot of trouble if socialist radical anti-Israel Zohran Mamdani becomes mayor. Now, I was there for the 4th of July weekend, and of course, 4th of July is a day where patriots just show how proud they are of their country, as well as the sacrifices that the heroes have made to protect the United States of America. Yet Zohran Mamdani has shown really no gratitude for America and the opportunities he's been afforded. Here is Vice President Vance blasting him for disrespecting America on Independence Day.
There is no gratitude in those words. No sense of owing something to this land and the people who turned its wilderness into the most powerful nation on earth. Zohran Mamdani's father fled Uganda when the tyrant Idi Amin decided to ethnically cleanse his nation's Indian population. Mamdani's family fled violent racial hatred, only for him to come to this country, a country built by people he never knew, overflowing with generosity to his family, offering a haven from the kind of violent ethnic conflict that is commonplace in world history, but it is not commonplace here. And he dares, on our 249th anniversary, to congratulate it by paying homage to its incompleteness and to its, as he calls it, contradiction.
Vance continues, that's only a snippet of his speech, but he's absolutely right for calling Mamdani out for this.
Completely, and it's such a striking difference from civil rights leaders in the past, people like Martin Luther King, who would always stress that the sort of beauty behind America's idealism and its founding principles, and he would be calling on Americans to hark back to those principles. It seems like Mamdani's doing the complete opposite. He's almost shunning those principles and saying, we have to do better, we have to do something different. Now, I did a lot of reporting on Mamdani in the lead up to this Democratic primary, and there were just so many inescapable truths. One being that nearly all his canvassers were white. They were all pretty well off. And almost all the working class voters that I spoke to did not support Mamdani. And that was borne out by the data in that Democratic primary result. We saw most voters earning over $100,000 supporting Mamdani, even people living on Wall Street. And then you had people earning less than $50,000 supporting Cuomo. So how can you frame yourself as the man of the people, when in essence, you're essentially a servant of the almost rich, the not quite rich? And the whole thing just is a striking paradox the Democrats are going to have to deal with going into not only the midterms in 2026, but also the presidential election in 2028.
Yeah, excellent point. Let's talk about Donald Trump and what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. Trump is fed up with Vladimir Putin. He's been speaking out against him, and he's now strongly considering supporting more sanctions against Russia. Trump previously told allies that he doesn't believe sanctions would be that effective, but his recent comments during a cabinet meeting suggests that he could be changing his mind here. Is that something we're likely going to see?
Well, reporting seems to suggest that he was actually never in favor of pausing aid in the first place. That was the Pentagon's decision and Pete Hegseth. But the bigger point is certainly true that, yes, Trump is getting pretty pissed off with Putin. And I think we've seen that with his recent comments. I don't think I've ever seen a president say the word twice in one conference meeting about the same leader. But that's Trumpian diplomacy for you. And frankly, it's come about the right time. Every time they've tried to restart negotiations, Putin ends up doing record amounts of bombing on Ukrainian cities. Something has to be done about this. And if there's one thing that Trump is known for, it's peace through strength. And my understanding is that if he was to walk away, and I understand that there are parts of the MAGA base that do want this and just wipe their hands clean of it, that is tacitly acknowledging a Putin win, and it's giving him Ukraine into the hands of Putin. So Trump has to do something to demonstrate the American strength, and that they're the ones that will decide the terms of this negotiation. And that's what he needs to do going forward.
Something a little bit more lighthearted. The new Superman movie is coming out, and we know that Hollywood likes to destroy great classic American films by making them woke, and it appears that Superman is going to be no exception. Let's just look back at the original.
Good evening, Officer Mooney. Well, they say confession's good for the soul. I'd listen to this man. Take him away.
Now, the new Superman, to quote the director James Gunn, is about immigration and it's about politics. Let's just look at the trailer.
Today, the Secretary of Defense said he was going to look into your actions. That's funny?
My actions? I stopped a war.
Maybe.
Not maybe. I did.
In effect, you illegally entered a country.
This is how you're gonna be?
I'm not the one being interviewed, Superman. Did you consult with the president?
No.
You seemingly acting as a representative of
I
the
wasn't
United States
representing
will cause
anybody
more
except for me.
problems around the world.
And doing good.
It's already getting backlash, and you can see why. James, how's this going to be received?
Well, look, I'm so bored of these remakes, sequels, and spin-offs that there was very little chance of me watching this film in the first place. But since learning about the so-called political message behind it, I'm definitely not going to see it now. And these kind of efforts to just politicize all pop culture is just so exhausting. And it just makes no business sense either. Why would you try and alienate half the viewing population in America by doing something like this? And it's just such a ham-fisted way of going about it. Calling Superman an illegal immigrant, we have to look after our immigrants. It just makes completely no sense whatsoever. So, look, we've seen this before. It's going to happen again. For some reason, Hollywood just has to share their opinion, even though no one in the American or Western public actually wants to hear this kind of thing. It's something we have to put up for it. But in due course, you have to hope that the public will vote with their feet and they will stop seeing this junk. And then actors and directors and all of Hollywood will stop preaching. That's my dream.
One day, yes, I share the dream with you. James, I want to talk to you about Greta Thunberg. The activist made a fool of herself when she went on board that selfie yacht to Gaza, then claiming she was kidnapped by Israel when she was denied entry into Gaza and was sent straight back home. But now the Gaza Freedom Flotilla is set to set sail again to Gaza. The activist group said that we're not backing down and announced the ship will be setting sail from Italy on July 13th, though it's not clear if Greta Thunberg will be joining this time around. How's this going to end up?
I could be wrong here, but I'm starting to think Greta Thunberg might like attention. And I have to say that this is like, it beggars belief what she is even doing here. I mean, I thought she was a climate activist, and I'm not really sure what a conflict in the Middle East has to do with the environment. So it's a very strange pivot from her. It's performative politics at its finest. It achieves absolutely nothing. And if anything, it just galvanizes the sides against you. I want to stress that in that first attempted voyage, not only did they fail to get to Gaza, but they were then taken to an Israeli port and fed sandwiches by the IDF. Sandwiches, by the way, that probably could have gone through a humanitarian corridor and end up in Gaza. So again, I have very little sympathy for these kind of efforts. They don't achieve anything that they state to claim or state to want to aim. And the whole thing needs to be put to an end. I hope she does not participate in it.
James Billow, we have to leave it there. It's so good to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour.
Thank you.